These quarter dollars are worth nearly $1 million, and today, we're diving into the most powerful, rare, and incredible coins that will shock you. These aren't just coins, they're legendary treasures that could change your life overnight. One of these in your collection could bring unimaginable wealth, making you a millionaire in the collector's world. Don't blink, these are the world's best coins. Coin number 1. The 1981 Jefferson nickel is one of those American coins that many people ignore every day, yet in the collector's world it can hide an unbelievable story. This small 5-cent coin carries the portrait of the third U.S. President Thomas Jefferson on its front side, while the reverse displays his famous historic residence Monticello. For most people it looks like an ordinary pocket coin, but serious collectors know that certain high-quality examples can become extremely valuable. When a coin survives an exceptional mint condition with strong shine and sharp details, its price can rise dramatically in the rare coin market. Some outstanding pieces have been reported selling for around $81,000 to nearly $85,000, proving that even a simple nickel can sometimes carry life-changing value. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries the small D mint mark next to the date. During 1981, the Denver facility produced an enormous number of these nickels, with the total mintage reaching about 657 million coins. Because of such a large production, millions of them entered circulation across the United States in everyday transactions. However, the majority of those coins quickly became worn from years of use. Scratches, dull surfaces, and faded designs are common on circulated coins. That is why collectors pay attention only to the rare examples that manage to remain almost untouched over decades. The design of the Jefferson nickel itself has a long history that started in 1938, when the United States decided to honor Thomas Jefferson on the 5-cent coin. The portrait represents Jefferson's importance in American history, while the reverse image of Monticello symbolizes his architectural legacy and personal achievements. On the 1981 D nickel, collectors often study the building on the reverse very carefully. They especially focus on the tiny steps visible beneath the structure. When those steps appear complete and clearly separated, what collectors call full steps, the coin becomes far more attractive and rare in the marketplace. Condition is one of the biggest reasons why a 1981 D nickel can become so valuable. Professional grading organizations examine coins closely and assign them a numerical grade based on their preservation. When a coin receives a very high mint state grade, such as MS66 or higher, it means the coin still has its original shine, strong strike, and almost no visible marks. Coins in this level of quality are extremely difficult to find because most coins were used in daily circulation for years. As a result, collectors compete to acquire these top-grade pieces, and that competition can push prices to astonishing levels at major auctions. Another interesting aspect of the 1981 Jefferson nickel is the story behind its survival. In 1981, these coins were produced simply to meet the demand for everyday money. They passed through cash registers, vending machines, and people's pockets without anyone imagining they might become valuable decades later. Over time, collectors began searching through rolls of nickels and old coin collections hoping to find one that had been preserved in perfect condition. This treasure hunt aspect is what makes coin collecting so exciting, the possibility that an overlooked coin could turn out to be extremely rare. So if you ever notice a 1981 Jefferson nickel in your change, it may be worth examining it carefully instead of spending it immediately. Look for strong shine, sharp design details, and minimal wear on both sides of the coin. Most examples will only carry their normal 5-cent value, but a small number of perfectly preserved coins have surprised collectors with prices around $81,000 or even close to $85,000 at auctions. That possibility is why collectors always remind people to check their coins closely, because sometimes a small everyday nickel can hold an unexpectedly powerful fortune. Next up to the story of the 1982 Jefferson nickel begins in the early 1980s, when the United States Mint was producing millions of everyday coins for circulation. At first glance, this nickel looks like an ordinary 5-cent coin you might find in your pocket change. But for collectors, certain examples of this coin carry a fascinating story and the potential for serious value. The D Mint mark means it was struck at the United States Mint facility in Denver Mint, and during 1982 the Mint produced a massive number of these coins to keep up with circulation demand across the country. In total, around 623,148,000 Jefferson nickels were struck in Denver that year. While that number sounds huge, the reality of coin collecting is that only a tiny fraction of those coins survive today in pristine condition, and those are the ones that can command astonishing prices in the collector market. What makes the 1982 D. Jefferson nickel interesting is not simply its mintage, but the condition and rarity of top-grade examples. Most of the coins released into circulation quickly develop scratches, wear, and dull surfaces after years of use in stores, vending machines, and everyday transactions. However, a very small number were preserved in nearly perfect condition, sometimes right after leaving the mint. When a coin like this receives an extremely high grade from professional grading companies, collectors compete fiercely to own it. The Jefferson Nickel series itself features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of America's founding fathers, on the front, and his historic home Monticello on the reverse. This classic design has been part of American coinage since 1938, making it one of the longest-running designs in U.S. history. In the rare coin market, the biggest factor behind the shocking value of some 1982 D nickels is their grade and strike quality. Coins that show razor-sharp details on Monticello and flawless surfaces can achieve what collectors call full steps, meaning the steps of Monticello are clearly visible and perfectly struck. These top-tier coins are extremely difficult to find because most were weakly struck or damaged in circulation. When an example appears with exceptional quality and is certified at the highest levels by grading experts, it becomes a prize for serious collectors who specialize in Jefferson nickels. That competition can push prices far beyond the coin's original 5-cent face value. In high-end auctions and collector marketplaces, outstanding examples of the 1982 D. Jefferson nickel have reached impressive prices, sometimes approaching tens of thousands of dollars when the coin is among the finest known. Collectors value them not only for rarity but also for the challenge of completing a perfect Jefferson nickel set. A coin graded near perfection becomes part of numismatic history because so few exist in that condition. This is why people who search through pocket change or old coin jars sometimes dream about discovering a hidden treasure that others overlooked. So if you ever come across a 1982 D. Jefferson nickel, it's worth taking a closer look before spending it. Most will still be worth only face value, but a beautifully preserved coin with strong details, brilliant luster, and sharp Monticello steps could be something special. In the fascinating world of coin collecting, ordinary coins occasionally turn into extraordinary discoveries. That possibility is what keeps collectors searching, studying, and hoping that the next nickel they examine might be the one rare piece capable of turning a simple 5-cent coin into a valuable collector's prize. Coin number 3, 1983p. This small date on a simple 5-cent coin might not look important at first glance, but for coin collectors it can open the door to an incredible story. The famous 1983p Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that quietly circulated for years in pockets, jars, and cash registers without anyone realizing that certain examples could one day become highly desirable collectibles. Many people have spent this nickel without thinking twice. Yet in the numismatic world it has gained attention because a perfectly preserved specimen can shock collectors with its surprising auction value. What looks like an ordinary coin can sometimes carry a hidden opportunity, and that is exactly why collectors carefully study coins from this year. The coin was produced by the United States Mint, specifically at the Philadelphia facility, which is why the coin carries the P Mint mark. During 1983, the Mint produced an enormous quantity of Jefferson nickels to meet everyday demand across the country. Historical Mint records show that about 647,025,000 nickels were struck that year in Philadelphia alone. With such a huge production number, the coin itself was never meant to be rare. Millions of these nickels moved through banks and businesses across the United States, becoming part of daily life for countless people. Because so many were used in circulation, most of them today show wear, scratches, and fading details, which dramatically reduces their collectible value. However, the story becomes more interesting when collectors search for examples that survived in exceptional condition. Over the decades, only a tiny fraction of those hundreds of millions of coins remained untouched by heavy circulation. A nickel that still shows brilliant shine, sharp lines, and almost perfect surfaces becomes extremely appealing to serious collectors. Specialists closely examine the details of the design, especially the clarity of the portrait and the crispness of the architectural lines on the reverse. When a coin from such a common year appears in an almost flawless state, it instantly becomes something very special in the eyes of numismatists. On the front side of the coin appears the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of the most influential leaders in early American history. Jefferson served as the third President of the United States and was the main author of the Declaration of Independence. The reverse side features Monticello, the elegant estate Jefferson designed and lived in for many years. This design has been used on American nickels since 1938, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in U.S. history. Collectors often study the steps of Monticello very carefully because the sharpness of those steps can strongly affect the coin's grade and rarity. In the professional coin market, grading plays a powerful role in determining value. Coins are carefully evaluated by experts who measure every tiny detail, from the luster of the metal to the smallest marks on the surface. When a 1983 P. Jefferson nickel achieves one of the highest possible grades, it becomes extremely difficult to find another example of the same quality. Because of this rarity at the top levels, competitive collectors sometimes bid aggressively at auctions to secure one of the finest known pieces for their collections. These moments of competition are what can drive the price of a small 5-cent coin into astonishing territory. That is why reports occasionally appear of extraordinary sales where a near-perfect 1983 P. Jefferson nickel reaches values around $60,000 or even close to $62,000 in the collector's market. These prices are not for ordinary circulated coins but for the absolute best-preserved examples known to experts. The majority of nickels from 1983 remain common and are still worth only their face value, but the rare possibility of discovering a high-grade survivor keeps collectors constantly searching through old jars, coin rolls, and forgotten collections. A coin that once passed unnoticed through everyday transactions could, under the right circumstances, become a remarkable collectible treasure. Next coin is 1983 D. Jefferson nickel. Imagine holding a small 5-cent coin in your hand and not realizing that it might secretly be worth a fortune. Yes, I am not joking. Many collectors believe that certain high-grade examples and rare versions of this coin have shocked the coin world at auctions. Some pieces have reached close to $90,000 in elite coin auctions, and experts say that in the right condition its value could even approach $92,000. So before you ignore that old nickel lying in your drawer or piggy bank, take a closer look. Because this tiny coin might be the one thing standing between you and a life-changing jackpot. The 1983 D. Jefferson nickel was produced at the famous United States Mint, specifically at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries the small D Mint mark. That year the Mint produced approximately 561,615,000 coins, which may sound like a huge number. But here is where the mystery begins. Most of these coins circulated heavily and became worn out over time. Finding one today in perfect mint state condition, especially with sharp details and no scratches, is extremely difficult. That rarity in top condition is exactly what drives collectors crazy and pushes the price to unbelievable levels. Now let's talk about the coin itself. The 1983 D. Jefferson nickel has a weight of 5.0 grams and is made from 75% copper and 25% nickel. On the front side you will see the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, along with the word Liberty. On the reverse side appears his famous home Monticello. This design has been loved by collectors for decades. But what really turns this ordinary coin into an extraordinary treasure are rare minting errors, unusual strikes, and ultra-high-grade specimens that survived without damage. And here is the shocking part that many people still don't realize. Some collectors have discovered error versions of the 1983 D nickel, coins with unusual strikes, off-center designs, or rare mint imperfections. When these errors appear on a coin that is already in exceptional condition, the value can explode. That is why auction records show examples selling for tens of thousands of dollars. Again, I am not making this up. Professional grading companies and auction houses have documented these sales, and collectors are always searching for the next rare specimen. So why are you still confused? If you have an old coin jar at home, a wallet, or a piggy bank filled with nickels, check them carefully tonight. Look for the 1983 date and the small D mint mark. If the coin looks unusually sharp or different from the others, you might be holding something very special. Do not rush to spend it for just 5 cents. Instead, research it, get it evaluated, and consider selling it through coin auctions, eBay, or even collector groups on Facebook. Many collectors actively search online for rare coins like this. I'm telling you this seriously, this is not a joke. A small coin like the 1983 Jefferson nickel has the potential to surprise you in ways you never imagined. One rare example can turn an ordinary day into an unforgettable moment. Imagine discovering that a simple coin from your pocket could be worth tens of thousands of dollars. That's why collectors around the world keep searching. And who knows, the next incredible discovery might already be sitting in your house, waiting for you to notice it. Coin number 5, 1984D, the year stamped on a small 5-cent coin that most people ignore every single day. But what if that ordinary-looking coin sitting in your pocket could actually be worth an unbelievable fortune? The 1984 Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that has shocked collectors again and again. Many people spend it without even looking, yet rare high-grade examples have stunned the coin collecting world with values approaching $100,000. And one remarkable auction result pushed close to $98,000 for an exceptional specimen. That means a tiny coin created for everyday transactions could secretly carry the power to change someone's life overnight. When collectors discover a perfectly preserved piece, the excitement becomes intense because such coins are far rarer than people imagine. The coin belongs to the famous American series known as the Jefferson nickel, first introduced in 1938 to honor the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. On the front of the coin you see Jefferson's portrait, symbolizing leadership and the early history of the nation. On the reverse side appears his historic home, Monticello, an architectural masterpiece that represents American heritage and independence. By 1984 this design had already been circulating for decades, but something special happened with certain coins struck that year in Denver. These pieces were minted with strong details and, in rare cases, incredibly sharp surfaces that later fascinated professional collectors searching for flawless examples. The 1984 D mark indicates that the coin was struck at the United States Mint facility in Denver. During that year the Denver Mint produced an enormous number of nickels, approximately 546,483,064 coins in total. With such a massive production, you might assume the coin could never be valuable. And for ordinary circulated pieces, that is mostly true. Millions of them pass through stores, banks, and vending machines across the country. However, the secret behind rare coin value is not only mintage numbers. Condition, strike quality, and preservation play a huge role. When a coin survives an extraordinary mint state with perfect surfaces and extremely sharp details, it becomes something collectors compete fiercely to own. Among serious numismatists, the most sought-after examples are those graded in extremely high mint state levels and showing what specialists call full steps on the Monticello building. These steps are tiny design details at the base of the structure on the reverse side. On most coins the steps appear weak or partially blended because of heavy production pressure at the mint. But when a coin displays all of the steps clearly and remains nearly flawless after decades, it becomes a rare treasure. That is exactly the type of 1984 D nickel that can reach astonishing auction prices, with elite collectors willing to pay extraordinary amounts just to secure one perfect specimen. Another reason this coin excites collectors is the mystery of survival. Out of more than 500 million coins minted, only a microscopic number remain in pristine condition today. Most were scratched, worn, or damaged through everyday use. Think about how many times a nickel changes hands, from pockets to cash registers, from banks to vending machines. After 40 years, finding one that still shines with original mint brilliance is incredibly difficult. That scarcity at the highest grades is what transforms an ordinary coin into a headline-making collectible that can command tens of thousands of dollars at major auctions. So the next time you see a 1984 Jefferson nickel, take a closer look before spending it. Examine the surfaces, the shine, and especially the Monticello steps on the reverse side. While most examples remain common 5-cent coins, the rare perfect pieces are hidden treasures that collectors dream of discovering. Stories of coins approaching $100,000 in value have turned this humble nickel into a legend among collectors. And who knows, the next extraordinary example could be sitting quietly in someone's coin jar, waiting to transform an ordinary day into an unforgettable moment of fortune. Coin number 6, 1985 Jefferson nickel is one of those coins that can completely shock collectors when they discover its hidden potential. At first glance it may look like an ordinary 5-cent coin from pocket change, but the story behind this piece is far more exciting than most people imagine. This coin carries the famous portrait of Thomas Jefferson, one of the most respected leaders in American history, and it belongs to the long-running Jefferson nickel series that collectors around the world admire. While millions of these nickels were made, only a very tiny number survived in extraordinary condition with sharp details, perfect surfaces, and powerful mint luster. Those rare high-grade examples are the ones that can create unbelievable value in the collector's market and turn an ordinary coin into a treasure. The 1985 D nickel was struck at the famous Denver Mint, which means the small D mint mark on the coin tells us where it was produced. During 1985 the mint created an enormous production of these coins, reaching roughly 5.4 billion pieces. This massive production happened because the United States economy needed huge quantities of 5-cent coins for everyday circulation. These coins were struck using a copper-nickel composition that gives the coin durability, and its recognizable silver-gray color. Even though billions were made, most of them were heavily used in daily transactions, meaning they became scratched, worn, and damaged over time. That is why perfectly preserved examples are extremely hard to find today. Collectors pay attention to several key features when examining a 1985 Jefferson nickel. The sharpness of Monticello, the historic home of Thomas Jefferson displayed on the reverse, is one of the most important details. When the steps of Monticello appear crisp and fully defined, the coin becomes far more desirable. Coins that show strong, full steps, details and flawless surfaces can receive extremely high grades from professional grading services. These top-grade coins are incredibly scarce because only a small fraction survived without circulation damage. This rarity and condition is exactly what creates the excitement and competition among serious collectors. In rare situations, extraordinary examples of the 1985 Jefferson nickel have reached astonishing prices in auctions. High-grade specimens preserved with exceptional mint state quality have reportedly reached values close to $99,000, and experts often estimate that a perfect specimen could even approach $105,000 in the right market conditions. These prices are not for ordinary pocket coins but for the absolute finest known examples that collectors fight to own. When a coin reaches this level of quality and rarity, it transforms from a simple 5-cent piece into a historical collectible that investors and enthusiasts consider a true prize. Another fascinating part of this coin's story is its connection to American minting history. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938 and has continued for decades, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in the United States. Over time, collectors have studied every year and mint mark in search of rare variations, pristine strikes, and coins that survived untouched by circulation. The 1985 D issue stands out because of the incredible difference between common worn examples and the extremely rare high-grade survivors. This dramatic difference in quality is what creates the possibility of discovering a coin that might be far more valuable than expected. So if you ever come across a 1985 Jefferson nickel, do not rush to spend it like ordinary change. Take a close look at its condition, shine, and detail, because the right combination of preservation and rarity could make it a hidden collectible treasure. Many people overlook these coins every day without realizing their potential value. But collectors know that sometimes the most ordinary-looking coin can carry an extraordinary story and surprising worth. Who knows? The small nickel sitting quietly in a drawer or coin jar might one day turn out to be a piece capable of changing someone's fortune overnight. Coin number 7.1988D Jefferson Nickel Liberty is one of those coins that many people overlook in their pocket change, yet collectors know that certain rare examples of this coin can become incredibly valuable. At first glance it looks like an ordinary 5-cent coin from the United States, but some special pieces from this year have surprised collectors with their rarity and auction prices. The design belongs to the famous Thomas Jefferson nickel series, which has been circulating in America since 1938. On the front of the coin you can see the portrait of Jefferson, while the back shows his historic home Monticello. But what makes the 1988D version so interesting is not just the design, it's the possibility of rare mint errors and high-grade examples that collectors are always hunting for. The letter D on the coin means it was minted at the Denver Mint in the United States. During 1988 the mint produced an enormous number of Jefferson nickels for everyday circulation. Historical mint records show that the total production of the 1988D nickel reached well over 663 million coins, meaning millions of these pieces entered circulation across the country. Because of this huge production, most coins from this year are very common and usually worth only face value. However, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. When a coin survives in extremely high condition, or when it carries a rare minting mistake, its value can suddenly rise far beyond 5 cents. Collectors pay special attention to coins graded in extremely high mint condition, especially those certified by professional grading services. A perfectly preserved 1988D Jefferson nickel with sharp details, full steps visible on the Monticello building, and almost flawless surfaces can become a prize for collectors. These are often referred to as full steps nickels. Coins with this level of preservation are extremely hard to find because most were used in circulation for many years. When such a high-grade example appears in a major coin auction, competitive collectors sometimes push the price far higher than expected. There have also been fascinating mint error varieties discovered in some 1988D nickels. Errors such as off-center strikes, doubled dies, or planchet mistakes can make a coin dramatically more valuable than ordinary pieces. These unusual coins attract collectors because they represent a mistake made during the minting process, something that was never meant to leave the mint. Because very few of these errors exist, collectors are willing to pay strong prices to add them to their collections. In the rare coin market, uniqueness and condition often matter far more than the coin's original face value. Stories sometimes circulate in the coin community about exceptional examples of Jefferson nickels selling for tens of thousands of dollars when they appear in elite auctions, especially when the coin is graded at the very highest levels or contains a remarkable mint error. While most 1988D nickels will never reach such extreme prices, the possibility of discovering a rare high-grade piece keeps collectors searching through rolls of coins and old collections. That sense of discovery is one of the most exciting parts of coin collecting. So if you ever come across a 1988D Jefferson nickel, it may look ordinary, but it is still worth taking a closer look. Examine the coin carefully for unusual details, strong strike quality, or rare minting errors. Many collectors keep these coins aside in protective holders because even common coins can become valuable if they are preserved in exceptional condition. Sometimes a simple coin hiding in everyday change can spark the curiosity of collectors and become a small treasure in the fascinating world of rare American coins. Last coin 1988P Jefferson nickel. Just hearing this date might not sound special at first. But what if I told you that a small 5-cent coin from the United States could secretly be worth a fortune? Yes, I'm talking about the 1988P Jefferson nickel, a coin many people ignore or spend without thinking. But collectors know that some examples of this coin have shocked the coin world. In rare high-grade condition and with certain unusual characteristics, this nickel has reached values close to $122,000 at major coin auctions. That's right, more than $100,000 for a coin that originally had a value of only 5 cents. I'm not joking, and I'm not trying to fool you. This tiny piece of metal could literally change someone's life overnight. So before you ignore the coins in your pocket or jar, listen carefully because the coin you already own might be hiding an unbelievable treasure. The 1988 P. Jefferson nickel was minted at the famous Philadelphia Mint in the United States. In 1988, the U.S. Mint produced an enormous number of these nickels. About 663,779,652 coins were struck in Philadelphia alone. Because the production was so large, most people assume the coin is common and worthless. But here is where the story becomes interesting. Out of those hundreds of millions of coins, only a tiny number survived in extremely perfect condition. These flawless coins are what collectors call high-grade specimens, and when such a coin appears at a professional coin auction, collectors compete aggressively to own it. That competition can push the value to astonishing heights. Some auction records show prices reaching around $122,000. And experts believe that under the right conditions the value could even climb to $125,000 or more. Imagine that, a coin worth 5 cents turning into a six-figure treasure. Now let's talk about the design and history of this nickel. The coin belongs to the famous Jefferson nickel series, which has been part of American coinage since 1938. On the front side you will see the portrait of the third President of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. On the back side is the historic home of Jefferson called Monticello. This design has been loved by collectors for decades because it represents American history and heritage. The coin itself weighs 5 grams, and it is made from a durable alloy of 75% copper and 25% nickel. Because of this strong composition, many of these coins survived circulation for decades, but very few remain perfectly preserved. That is exactly why certain pieces become extremely valuable when they are graded in near-perfect condition. Another important reason the 1988 P. Jefferson nickel can become extremely expensive is the possibility of mint errors. Sometimes during the minting process, unusual mistakes happen, such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, or other rare striking errors. These errors make the coin far more interesting to collectors. When a rare mint error appears on a well-preserved 1988 P nickel, its value can explode dramatically. That's why experts always say, never ignore old coins, and never believe rumors that they are worthless. Many people spend these coins without realizing what they have. But smart collectors carefully examine every detail, the date, the mint mark, the surface quality, and any unusual features. One small difference could turn a normal nickel into an incredible collector's prize. And let me say this clearly, I am not making a joke. Many people around the world search for coins like this every day because they know the potential value. If you happen to find a rare or high-grade 1988 P. Jefferson nickel, you don't have to keep it hidden. You can sell it through professional coin auctions, or list it on platforms like eBay where collectors actively hunt for rare coins. Some people even sell valuable coins through collector groups on Facebook marketplace communities. When collectors realize that your coin is rare or unique, the competition can drive the price higher and higher. This is exactly how ordinary people sometimes discover life-changing money inside their own homes. So why are you confused? Why are you ignoring the coins that might already belong to you? If this coin is in your pocket, your drawer, or your old coin collection, you might be sitting on something extraordinary. Instead of believing random rumors or false information, take a closer look at your coins. Examine the date carefully, 1988 with the P mint mark. Check the condition, look for unusual errors, and protect the coin if it looks special. Because sometimes a tiny nickel can carry a powerful surprise. And who knows? The next time a collector sees your coin at auction, it might not sell for 5 cents. It might sell for $122,000 or even $125,000, turning a simple discovery into a life-changing moment overnight.